Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to PWR Today. It is Thursday morning. It's June 25th, 2020. I'm the man they call Meathead, getting some business done here with all the stuff that we do. Make sure you're hitting us up on Facebook, YouTube, Fight TV, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to this. Make sure you're giving us a like and a subscribe. Tell your friends. Those likes and subscribes do matter because the more we can get our name out there, the more that we'll be able to provide this awesome free content. And coming up tonight, speaking of free content, it'll be Primetime with David Hero and Damian Nelson. And we're going to be bringing you, obviously, Shane Helms as well. So a nice little Primetime with Shane Helms. We'll be talking a little wrestling action. And then the big show on Saturday with all the associates. And, again, another draft update. We've got more action. Big things popping, little things dropping, like MVP always says. So make sure you're getting those notifications turned on so that way you can find out when new content comes up. Now, Damian Nelson has, ever since he found out about Fyter Fest and realized that there weren't going to be points for AEW's Fyter Fest, he has not appeared on this program like he should. So filling in tonight is the man you heard yesterday morning and the man that you'll hear tomorrow morning. It's Matthew Thomas. Good morning, Matthew.
Oh, good morning. This is going to be 3 days in a row, huh?
Yeah, there's nothing better than waking up with a little meathead in your cup. But I mean, if you're dropping like a dash of cream, you got Matthew Thomas.
Exactly. I'm happy to be that dash of cream for you.
Wasn't that your wrestling name back in college when you were with Brad Maddox?
Yeah.
You guys were a tag team, the Dash of Cream.
That was it. Both proud College of Charleston alumni.
What we really don't know is, why you were filming that video, but that's a story for another night.
Mm-hmm. We can, since we're 3 consecutive days, I'm sure we'll have plenty of time for all stories, Meathead.
Fair enough. All right. Tonight, last night, because we're in the morning here, was AEW and NXT. Did you get to watch them both?
I watched both of them in their entirety tonight.
All right, so I don't get to ask you this often, but who won? If it were a head-to-head competition on a scale of 1 through blue, who won?
I think NXT.
I was using the Curry head scale there.
Yes, 1 through blue, and a numeric scale of 1 to 57. That's the one I really like. That's the one I really like. I feel like NXT came out ahead tonight. Most weeks I've been very, very pleased with the content AEW's putting out. And I thought tonight was another great AEW show, but NXT was just a very, very tight show tonight. Every match had a storyline reason for happening, and they did an excellent job tonight. So I've got to give it to NXT by a wee little bit tonight.
So by about 13 points in that 1 to 57 scale.
Yep, exactly.
Go in the archives, folks, and go find that one. I think it was what pay-per-view was that?
It was a post pay-per-view show. I can't remember which one. It was
the one Owens beat Cena for the championship.
Yeah, it would have been in the fall of 15, I believe. And you actually joined us late into the show because you were doing some shopping, if memory serves me correctly.
Yes, driving around looking for a prophylactic to make sure that I don't have more little meatheads on the way. Yeah.
I think if I'm ranking my favorite shows that we've done together, that's near the top of the list.
Speaking of, I started to do a sidetrack here. We started off doing a show called Sudden Impact. Do you remember?
Mm-hmm.
What was the biggest group in TNA at the time?
Oh, that's easy. That was Aces and Eights.
There is a rumor that they will be making a return at Slammiversary this year.
Oh, sign me up. I'm still waiting on my my Aces and Eights cut. I was waiting for that to go down at a little bit deeper discount in the TNA store, and I never managed to get it. But hopefully, if they do make a resurgence, I can add that to my wardrobe.
And you know who's going to be doing the song for him this year in 2020? Good old Uncle Cracker. Aces and Eights. Aces and Eights. It's a dead man's hand. All right, we digress. Let's talk AEW from last night. No aces and eights on the program. However, we did start off the show with a lumberjack match with Mr. Mayhem, Wardlow, accompanied by MJF, taking on Luchasaurus, who was brought on by the rest of Jurassic. What did it call themselves? The Jurassic Connection?
Express, I believe.
Express, yeah. Luchasaurus. I want Luchasaurus to be amazing. I want Luchasaurus to be a dominating big man. I have not seen it since he's been in AEW. Your thoughts?
No, and I think he can be. I think there is definitely the in-ring skill there, but I think the gimmick's got to go. I think it served its purpose. It strikes me as a fun gimmick for an indie show, something that, that's fun.
Speaking of,
that's
he
different.
was at Blizzard Brawl this last year.
Yeah. And I just don't feel like it's got the longevity. And I think they've done some great things with Jack Perry. And I see him as a potential standout single star, but it's just I don't think this gimmick has longevity. I think it's hard to take anybody in that group serious. So I think the talent is definitely there, but you gotta drop the gimmick.
Okay. For Fyter Fest was announced after the match. It'll be MJF and Wardlow taking on Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. So that'll be happening. I don't know if it was night 1 or night 2, but it's going to be happening at Fyter Fest. The women battled the champion Hikaru Shida versus Red Velvet in seconds. This match was over. Really not much to say. This was a quick squash. I want to go right to the press conference for the TNT champion, the American Nightmare Cody, taking on Jake Hager. And Jake not there. They reach out to the crowd, and the crowd is supposed to be reporters from PWI and other reporters from the National Wrestling Alliance, whatever it is. The comments from Arn Anderson. Cody was asked about what his championship represents, and he's talking about how the belt's not even completely finished yet due to the whole situation going on. Jake shows up. He's ready. Puts his fist up to Cody's face and walks away. Now, the most devastating move in press conference history, with all the work that Dustin Reynolds has done from the WCW, from the NWA to the WWF to, TNA to AEW, I never knew the thing that really got him the most was a glass of water to his little brother. He was shoot hot. Your thoughts on that?
Here's the thing, he's worked most of his career with face paint on. And I can see him having this, this major concern of water coming to whether it be his face or one of his loved ones' face, because that water will, remove that face paint relatively quickly. Now, Cody didn't have face paint on, but my analysis of this is I think it was just a knee-jerk reaction to a guy who has spent the bulk of his career wrestling with paint that will, most likely easily come off in the presence of water.
Get her off the stage. Wow.
Let me add this, though. How revolutionary is it for professional wrestling that this press conference ended with no table or furniture being broken?
It's almost as revolutionary as the one time in TNA when they had a wrestling wedding that didn't end up in shenanigans. When ODB married Eric Young.
It's because it was meant
to be. Was it Eric Young or was it Diener?
I think it was Eric Young. I was trying to remember. Diener was who was coming to my head, but I don't know. We'll have to go back in the archives and pull up our sudden impact on that episode.
It was Eric Young. Thank you, Internet, by the way. It was Eric Young married ODB. And ODB was literally, they were married, and it was a legit marriage. She came down looking absolutely beautiful in her camo dress, and they got married together. Right after this, we had the Exalted One, Mr. Brody Lee, accompanied by Boom Boom Colt Cabana, taking on the bad boy Joey Canella and Concrete Rose Sunny Kiss. I don't know what to pull from this. The only one out of the whole group that I actually do like is Colt Cabana, of course, being a Milwaukee guy. We love Colt Cabana here in the Midwest. The rest of it, I don't have any use for it.
I like the fact they're giving Cabana something. He's just been featured for I believe he actually premiered, if I'm not mistaken, at the Denver show that I was in attendance at in early March. It was the first show. It was the next to last show prior to them shutting down live audiences for COVID. But since he's been with the company, it's just a match here, a match there, a comedy spot here or there. I like the fact that they are taking one of the probably the most, outside of Orange Cassidy, lighthearted people on their roster and putting them in this potential angle with the Dark Order. So I like what they're doing here with the contrast in between the Dark Order and Cabana.
FTR takes on SCU in the acronym match for the tag team. Thank you for a tag team acronym match. FTR wins the match, and then they finally call it all the tag teams. I love the introduction. Literally driving all the way from Fayetteville, North Carolina. So in the truck, and they timed it out. How do you time that out perfectly? Or are you on time and you're just waiting around the corner to finally pull up? All right, boys, we're ready in 5, 4, now pull up. I mean, or do they just get off the freeway, turn off, wait for traffic, yield, and then pull right up to the arena?
You set that GPS, man. You set that GPS and you allow the time that you can take for, potty breaks and this, that, and the other. I actually did. So the other night when they were talking about how long of a drive it was from Asheville to Jacksonville, I actually, during the show, went and mapped it out. It's only about 6 hours. It's not that terrible of a drive. It is. I think it can be
Was
fairly
it Asheville
easy.
Or Fayetteville?
It's Asheville. They're in the beautiful mountain area of Asheville, North Carolina, which is where Edge lives as well, too. And if you go back to the network special on Edge.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they were, I cannot remember which one it was, but one of the guys was in there helping him get ready for his big Royal Rumble return. So absolutely, they're coming from Asheville, North Carolina, and very beautiful country in the Asheville area.
Okay. All right. So not so bad. Best Friends getting hyped up to take on the Hangman and Kenny Omega at Fyter Fest. Hype package, if you will, on all the tag teams that are going on. Followed up by a match with the Machine Brian Cage versus John Cruz. And John Cruz probably was happy to have his name announced because other than that, yikes. We did not have any John Moxley last night because it has been said that he might have gotten secondhand COVID, where he might have been in close contact. I believe he's probably going to self-quarantine himself. Maybe he'll do a video from the house, but this makes sense because he's probably going to be on night 2, which would be July 8th. Give him 2 weeks maybe to quarantine, and then come out and do the match. Excuse me, come out and do the match.
Yeah, no, that would make sense. Hopefully that's all that's needed is just a couple of weeks and put him on night 2, which makes the most sense because it is the title match. You think you would want to save that for the main event of night 2. So hopefully he and everybody stays well and it can take place as planned.
Your thoughts on Neo 1 accompanying Broken Matt Hardy, a.k.a. Damascus, against Santana?
Oh, I liked it. I like to see, I pop anytime there's a drone involved, whether it be Vanguard 1 or Neo 1 or any drone action. So very happy to see the drone. One thing I want to point out, I noticed it more in this match and as the night went on, something that I feel like AEW is going to have to deal with that WWE is not necessarily going to run into. I've never been to Daly's Place, never been in the venue, but clearly a quasi outdoor indoor venue.
In summertime,
you could see people getting a little bit winded tonight. There was a couple comments made about the humidity, but yeah, we're June, almost in July in Florida. So that is one thing that is going to affect these matches as the summer progresses is, they're doing this in Florida heat in the summertime.
Yeah, and I got to kind of digress here. So the wife was watching along with AEW and TNT tonight, or NXT tonight, TNT. AEW's on TNT. The acronyms have got to stop. She had asked when there was this big major announcement as far as matches, she goes, hey, I got to ask, has anybody ever said, you know what, I'd like to make an announcement. I know you've cheered me all. I am going to be a heel now. I just want to know it's time to boo me. All right, thank you. Bye.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Have we ever had that kind of match or
That would
press
that would be
conference?
that would be fantastic. I think the closest we ever came was when Cena announced, made reference to a heel turn and literally turned his heel during a promo one time. But that was all that we got. Hey, I know what I've wanted to mention ever since we. Well, I guess this is my first AEW recap technically, but does the visual of a summer night at dusk, basically, as the sun's going down in an outdoor venue, does it remind you of anything that you've seen in your pro wrestling viewing history?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's an August pay-per-view somewhere in the Dakotas, and I'm waiting to hear
Yeah.
motorcycles.
Yeah. So I didn't think about that. I was going more for the Orlando Disney World WCW
Oh,
Nitros that we got. Daly's Place is an exponentially better venue, but just the visual of the sun going down. But we're on the same wavelength. We're the same era there.
I was thinking along the lines of Hog Wild or Road Wild. The main segment was a face-off between Le Champion Chris Jericho and freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. I absolutely loved it. Jericho, God, Jericho right now is owning it. And what he did was, where they get a guy like Orange Cassidy, and he was pretty clear at the beginning, when he talked to the Kenny Omegas and the Bucks and, Tony Khan, why did you get Orange Cassidy? And they said, people love him. Huh. But he doesn't do anything. I'll tell you what, if you try any of that BS offense at me, I'm going to kick your teeth in. Dude, he absolutely was fantastic. Walks up to him, heel kick, or shin kick. And then I love it. I absolutely, his ear got freshly squeezed tonight, though. Oh my God. I don't know where he bumped his ear, but he was bleeding pretty bad.
It was an Evander Holyfield-esque spot there. I mean, but what an iconic way to go off the air with, him with the color from his ear dripping down on his white shirt of himself, just looking calm, cool. Like that was it's not going to be, I don't think, as iconic necessarily because of the character, but it was kind of reminiscent of Becky Lynch when she got busted open hard way standing there in the crowd.
Sure. Almost Stone Cold busting his face open, blood from Stone. Remember the t-shirt? I think that was a Bret Hart match.
Yep.
And I'll be completely honest with you. I've talked to Damien, I've talked to Dave, and I got to have that t-shirt. Oh, not of Orange Cassidy. I have to have a Meathead t-shirt of Meathead wearing a Meathead t-shirt.
Yeah.
I need that.
I can see that.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to talk to my t-shirt people. Let's talk NXT real quick. The night opens up eerily similar with a car crash and cameras. This time, it's Damian Priest crawling out of the car. What do you think?
Yeah, here's the thing. We're having a lot of similarities all across the board in professional wrestling. We had our SmackDown car crash a few weeks ago. One thing, just to kind of flip back to the opening of AEW tonight, we had the lumberjack match. Now, SmackDown this past week, it wasn't technically a lumberjack match, but the AJ Styles Matt Riddle match was we had the superstars surrounding the ring because they came down there for AJ Styles announcement. Yeah. So some similarities there. I think with both
they
companies
copied
most likely.
Themselves. This is a little different.
Yeah. No,
WWE did it again.
So left a little bit to be desired there, I thought, with the opening of the show.
Are you surprised how this match went? That Cameron Grimes defeated Damian Priest?
No, because I think there's definitely something there. Maybe it's me being a little bit partial with him being a Carolina guy.
Right.
But no, it seemed like it was the route it was going to go. And of course, you could say Priest was not 100% because of the attack and everything. So no, I think I was expecting it to go this way.
Okay. NXT Cruiserweight Champion Santos Escobar defeats Jake Atlas in a non-title match, of course. But, we got a little action out of Jake Atlas, not enough to, go over the champion.
Yeah, it was good for what it was. It was, fairly lengthy second match in, some good action between both guys, and some solid wrestling here.
Tag team action: Dakota Kai and Rachel Gonzalez defeat Kaden Carter and Casey Catanzaro, I believe is how it's pronounced. Pretty typical tag team match, I guess you could say. Karrion Kross. I'm going to talk a little bit about Karrion Kross real quick, defeating Bronson Reed. I know Dave Hero's high on him. I'm actually high on him as well. A lot of people are high on him. However, do you think that it's a lot of gimmick and show for him? I mean, because he's got a great presence in the ring too, but dude, that entrance is way produced.
Yeah. No, I like it. He feels like a star. He's been booked like a star. And it's interesting. It's, dominant wins in the squash matches, but you had his major win In Your House against Ciampa. And so it's interesting booking. It's this guy that's coming in dominating, but also going over top tier talent as well too. So I'm really interested to see the trajectory of all of this, because in 2 weeks you have got that winner take all, match for the North American and NXT title. Who leaves with that? I mean, you got to think that he's the challenger. He's the next in line for after that. Whoever walks away with that championship, that person's going to walk away with both championships. So what really goes on here? So not very easy to call booking right now in the NXT title picture.
Yep. Rhea Ripley defeats Aaliyah. Pretty basic with Robert Stone at her side. But it sets up something for next week, that if in a match with Robert Stone, good old Robbie E from TNA, if they win, Rhea Ripley joins the Robert Stone brand. I see that happening, actually. I think Rhea Ripley joins Robert Stone, and it's possible they could go main roster.
And Robert Stone right now might be the most charismatic star on all of NXT. I really like the role that he's in there, and I really think this role, it has the potential for so much more longevity than Robbie E did. Robbie E, you go back to that was TNA at the height of the popularity of the Jersey Shore, all of that stuff going on. As pop culture and, that zeitgeist kind of dies down a little bit, that character could be really, really stale. And if you had that in WWE, it would bear kind of a strong resemblance to a Zack Ryder type of character. Sure. So I think they've done a great job, of hitting the reset, and kudos to them for, going the route of a male manager for a female talent. You don't see it done a ton. I go back to Cute Kip in TNA. Cute? I thought that was done Kip. very, very effectively. And so I'm really enjoying this.
Okay. Dexter Lumis defeats Roderick Strong via countout. The therapist all along was obviously O'Reilly, Kyle O'Reilly. And Dexter Lumis creeping people out. Remember, we did TNA and we saw Sam Shaw a lot. So he's even got it better and more tuned in now in NXT.
Oh, yeah. He's got it down to a science. That guy has got that character down.
All right, main event. It was a triple threat match between Keith Lee, Finn Balor, and Johnny Gargano. The winner would face champion Adam Cole in 2 weeks for a winner-take-all match between the NXT Championship and the North American Championship. Your winner, Keith Lee, stays United States Champion, North American Champion, and will face Adam Cole in 2 weeks for both belts. I smell shenanigans. I smell Karrion Kross having something to do with it in 2 weeks, and possibly setting up a three-way at a takeover before SummerSlam. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I give them credit again for not necessarily predictable booking. So I thought it was a really good match, a really good dynamic. You've got the big guy in Keith Lee, versus the two guys of similar stature, with the other two combatants tonight. So really, really solid match, and I'm very curious as to where they go. I mean, it looks like Kross is poised to, I think, be the next champion. I don't know. I really feel like there's so much popularity and so much momentum with Keith Lee now that you could put him on the main roster. We got that taste of him and Brock Lesnar at the Rumble, and that was one of the biggest pops.
We loved it.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest pops of the night, and I think you could actually Keith Lee's one of those guys that could be on the main roster right now, and it would work very well.
The main roster is so weak right now, too.
Yeah, and we saw somebody make that jump on Friday night last week, and that's kind of up in the air now with
he's been jumping with other stuff too. So
yeah, with everything going on. So I could see potentially Lee being on the main roster sooner rather than later.
Yeah, they could bleed out NXT, and I don't think NXT would be affected at all. Folks, that has been longer than we thought it would be, but thank you, Matthew Thomas, for stopping by again. Stop by, give us a like and a subscribe on all your media channels, and we'll let you know when new content's coming. Again, don't forget, tonight, Damian Nelson, David Hero, and Shane Helms are going to be talking a little wrestling right here on PWR360.com. So for Matthew Thomas on the Manly Call Meathead, thanks for stopping by. So long, everyone.